The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who just jumped off a roof. Welcome, Jacob.
Hey, I've only done that once, okay?
Oh.
Yeah, maybe twice, okay?
Into a very nasty cistern of water.
I want to go that far. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who, started talking to a girl, be like, man, she's nice, she's fine, and turns out she may be your sister. Congratulations. Welcome, Drew.
Well, the Force does some strange things.
The Force?
I went Star Wars. I'm sorry.
You did. I was like, oh, you were Rise
Luke
of Skywalker.
and Leia. I went Luke and Leia.
Oh, okay.
I did not go Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
Rise of Skywalker can go bask in a lake. That nasty cistern of water right next to the French, the Latin Quarter. That's what it was called. Not the French Quarter, the Latin Quarter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I totally get that. I was like, wait a minute. Oh, Luke and Leia thing. It's like, oh yeah, because Lucas had no idea what he was doing at first.
And he did kiss her on the lips in episode 4.
No, ooh. Yeah, did.
Anyway. Anyway.
Yes.
Tonight, we are beginning Studio Ghibli Month with our look at our next movie in that row, from Up on Poppy Hill.
Yeah. Never heard of this.
This was the first. Well, this is the first one that came out after I moved to Jacksonville.
Really?
Yeah.
2011. No, 13.
14.
14.
Yeah, this came out like when I was. It was either the year of or I had just moved down here.
Oh, okay, so you're talking about the U.S. release.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I remember seeing this Blu-ray at Walmart.
Oh, okay.
Whether it was Lindale or Jacksonville Walmart is another matter entirely.
Got it.
But, yeah, we are reviewing that tonight. And, yeah, this is definitely my first viewing.
Yeah.
In fact, why don't we just go ahead and jump into our spoiler-free thoughts?
Right.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
Like I said, this is my first viewing. This is at a point where I did not realize that Studio Ghibli films are still being made. I don't know why it fell off my radar. I guess just because this was like one of the first ones that Disney didn't, here in America, didn't just, advertise out the wazoo. And by this time, I think it may have moved completely over to G-Kids. It's just Disney still technically had the adaptation rights for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did not know this was a Studio Ghibli film back in the day when I saw it being advertised. I just knew it was up for an Academy Award. And nearly every Studio Ghibli film's up for an the Best Animated Movie Academy Award.
Agreed.
Especially after this point. So yeah, this was my first viewing. I had never seen it before. I actually very much enjoyed this film. This is really more. This is definitely not an action adventure.
No, grounded. Very
film. It's
grounded.
very grounded. It is a romantic comedy to a degree. Yeah, I call it a romantic comedy.
Odd romantic comedy.
Yeah. And I did quite enjoy it. So, yeah, I do suggest this one if you're looking for it. This is probably one of Goro Miyazaki's better films.
Okay, true.
Because Goro doesn't have the best history. But what are your thoughts?
So, again, like Drew, this is my first time viewing this film. When I first watched it, it was like, this is a little funky because they gave you the information, but then there's one scene in particular that kind of throws question into doubt, question into what's going on, maybe validity of the story, and it kind of it throws the enigma out. It's like, so is it, or are they, or are they not? So there again, you do more research and okay, it actually is, what they put forward in the movie at the conclusion of the movie is true. So it
does make sense. There's just lots of twists and turns.
Yeah, there are a lot of twists and turns in this movie. But like, granted, I saw this, and once they started like putting these little Easter eggs in the movie, I was like, oh, that's what they're going with this. Mm-hmm. Because they're, again, doing this for 5 years, but like you start to understand films and plots and the whole bit.
We pick up formulae.
Yeah, you pick up formula. The humans are very good at picking up patterns.
Indeed.
Yes. So after wrapping my mind around this movie, and again, it's a good movie. It's a very much a different style of Studio Ghibli film. It's not fantasy. It's not high fantasy. It's not adventure.
It's just a high school romantic comedy.
Yeah. Again, odd romantic comedy, but a very good odd romantic comedy. Mm-hmm. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can't wait to get into this film. I don't think there's a lot of, at least on my end, not a lot of dislikes about this film.
This is a hard one to come up with dislikes for,
Agreed.
I think. So, and I think that's generally our problem with most Ghibli films. There's a couple we have issues with. Go look. I'm thinking of two different ones.
Right,
but y'all know which ones those are by now.
Yeah, if you
if you're new, if you're brand new, Homeboy here is not a fan of Grave of the Fireflies.
Well, I'll be like, I can't say it'd be like I was
at least the character in Grave of the Fireflies.
Character in Grave of the Fireflies. I enjoyed the film.
True.
I just be like, be responsible, boy, do your job, and he failed miserably.
Meanwhile, Ocean Waves, or I can hear the ocean, or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Or I had probably my most epic rant.
Yeah, you did.
Because
go back and listen to those 2 episodes if you haven't.
Oh, is she a Black Widow? That's all I'm going to say.
Gotcha.
Let's go ahead and jump into our spoiler-filled thoughts for this film. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film From Up on Poppy Hill. Listener discretion is advised. From Up on Poppy Hill was directed by Goro Miyazaki, who previously directed Tales from Earthsea.
Other good film.
We had some issues with it.
We did. Be like,
it was obviously his first film.
Right.
He has improved somewhat.
He has. I think personally, I enjoy. After watching the film and doing the review, I think I have a better appreciation for the film now, than I did before.
That's true. It was written by Keiko Niwa and Hayao Miyazaki, and based on the manga by Tetsuro Suyama and Chizuru Takahashi. Mm-hmm. Getting into the cast, and boy, do we have a big cast on this. Mm-hmm. Mostly because I wasn't sure where to stop. Sarah Bolger played Umi Matsuzaki, and in the Spiderwick Chronicles, she played Mallory Grace. Anton Yelchin played Shun Kazuma, and of course he was Chekhov on the 2009 Star Trek series. Edie Merman played Hana Matsuzaki, and in the streamlined dub of Lupin III Castle Cagliostro, she played Fujiko.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Jamie Lee Curtis,
which was a shock. Yeah. I was like, what in the world?
Played Ryoko Matsuzaki, and in True Lies, she played Helen Tasker.
She's a scream queen. That's like what she's known for.
Yes, but I went to the one I wanted to talk about, not Halloween. This isn't Halloween anymore.
Well, let's be honest.
This is November.
No, this is November. I agree. But Jamie Lee Curtis was very much known for her doing horror films in her early career.
That is very true. At least I didn't say, oh, she's this character from Borderlands.
Did that movie do anything in theaters?
No, it didn't.
Jeez.
From what I can tell, nobody liked that film.
Wow.
Not even the fans of the game liked it.
Wow. That is shocking.
Gillian Anderson was the voice of Miki Hokuto, and she was Dana Scully in The X-Files.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Chris Noth played Akio Kazuma, and he played Detective Mike Logan in Law & Order. Bruce Dern played Yoshio Onodera, and he was in the movie Big Love. He played Frank Harlow. Charlie Saxton played Shiro Mizunuma, and he was Toby in Troll Hunters. Beau Bridges played Chief Director Tokumaru, and he was B.B. Hensley in Max Payne. Isabel Furman played Sora Matsuzaki, and she was Esther in Orphan.
Esther and Orphan.
Esther was the creepy girl in that movie. That was like
Oh.
actually like 30 or 40, but she looked 18.
Oh, okay. I think I know which movie you're talking about.
I barely know the film.
Yeah.
Alex Wolff played Riku Matsuzaki,
Ow.
and he was Luis Alvarez in Oppenheimer.
Oh, okay.
Aubrey Plaza played Sachiko Hirokoji, and she was Julie Powers in both Scott Pilgrim versus the World and whatever the new Netflix show is. I can't remember the name of it. Scott Pilgrim's Big Break or something like that.
Something like that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Christina Hendricks played Sayori Makimura, and she was Gabby Gabby in Toy Story 4.
Oh. Yeah. No.
Emily Osment played Nobuko, and in one of your favorite television shows, Hannah Montana, she was Lily Truscott.
Yes. I feel like I have to be like she has always been a very good actress. Definitely from an early age.
Unfortunately, she doesn't have a whole lot of big credits outside of Hannah Montana.
Well, she was in Young Sheldon.
Yeah, she was in Young Sheldon. I forget about
Young
that.
Sheldon.
Bridget Hoffman played Yuko, and in the Lupin the Third Castle of Cagliostro dub from Manga Video, she played Clarice de Cagliostro. You know, the main girl in that.
Yeah.
Jeff Dunham played Gen.
Yeah.
Gen was the guy who was driving the cart that got him to the boat at the end. He is, of course, a what do you call that? Not puppeteer, but good night. I should know what these things are.
A puppeteer or a...
Well, it's it's the live comedy puppeteering.
Wow, we're losing credit here.
Use dummies.
Ventriloquist.
Ventriloquist, yeah. He is a ventriloquist. Well, according to one Gabriel Iglesias bit, he was the number one comedian in somewhere in the Middle East. I don't remember where now. But in Smurfs, The Lost Village, he played Farmer Smurf.
Oh, okay.
And lastly, Ron Howard.
Yes, I noticed that.
Was the Philosophy Club president. And his biggest acting role was Opie Taylor in The Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah, and a lot of directorial debut.
You're welcome, Ashley.
Ha ha.
Folks, for those who don't know, Jacob's never watched The Andy Griffith Show.
I've watched very little of it. Let's say that.
Yeah, I bet it was the color episodes, too.
No, it wasn't, actually. Thank you very much.
Because the color episodes are the bad ones.
There's a part of me I really just want to turn my side black and white and be like, oh, it's boring, I'm going to walk off now.
I don't have a way of doing that, so I can't help you with the bit.
Shame.
Kingdom Hearts connections. How many do you think we have?
4.
No.
Higher or lower?
Lower.
2.
Yes, we do have 2.
2, okay.
1 English and 1 Japanese.
Nice.
Robert Clotworthy was additional voices in this movie.
Nice.
He was also additional voices in Kingdom Hearts, and he played the Black Knight in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Good.
And then Naoki Tamanoi was additional voices in this one in the Japanese version. And he played Sarge in the Japanese version of Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
And that's what I've got in cast and crew. What do we got in info and stuff?
All right, so info and stuff. It has an IMDb score of 7.3 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes has a 87%, while its audience score is an 80. It's available to watch on Max if you have subscription to Max.
Somebody lost his.
Yeah, which I think I'm going to have to talk with my...
I'm giving you a hard time.
Yes.
Although you might... Well, no, you've got the DVDs for Batman if that ends up being the next thing. So you're good there.
Yeah, agreed. But if we're talking about doing other things, may have to become a subscriber to that channel.
We will see.
Yeah, we shall boldly go wherever we go.
Okay.
It just came out of my head. Okay?
I know. Continue.
All right. So it was obviously produced by Studio Ghibli. Obviously, it's a Studio Ghibli Month. Mm-hmm. Distributed in its home country by Toho. And U.S. was, at least theatrically, was G-Kids.
Yes.
All right, it has a runtime of 92 minutes, a release date of July 16th, 2011 in Japan, and March 15th, 2013 here in the United States. So, box office. So, this box office is primarily for the U.S. market, U.S.-Canada market. So, just to let you know. It had an estimated budget of $22 million. Its opening weekend for the United States and Canada was 57,585 on March 17th, 2013. Its domestic U.S. and Canada was just shy over $1 million. Mm-hmm. Now, its international gross was $61.4 million. So this movie did fairly well, like theatrically. Mm-hmm. Like, now, granted, it'd be like if we compare it to this and like what it did in Japan and what it did everywhere else, it'd be like it did pretty good. Mm-hmm. And but I think I was doing the research. It beat out Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2, which is the highest grossing Harry Potter film of all time. Which is always weird because people go see the last film and they don't see the first film, which is never. I don't get it either. I've known people who do it.
I mean, your assumption is, oh, we're going to go see Part 2. I ought to at least go watch Part 1.
Yeah.
And some people don't do that. I'm like, don't you not want to be lost?
I had a coworker. Granted, this was coming out when Endgame was, Avengers Endgame was coming out.
This I can understand at least because Endgame doesn't immediately present it as a Part 2.
Right. So this former coworker of mine had never seen anything Marvel MCU. But like, she knew who Iron Man was. She knew who this actor was. She knew this character. She walked in there, was completely like, because her friends were going to it. It's like, okay, I'll go watch it. She had no idea what was going on. So if you're going to go watch a movie, at least get yourself up to date.
Do enough research
to
find out what movies you might need to watch before it. Because you can't just guarantee that the big movie of the weekend is Part 1. Mm-hmm. It could be Part 12.
That is true. It's like Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that. Oh, yeah, I'm walking into
Halloween.
You name any big Planet of the Apes.
Well, at least with Planet of the Apes, you don't have to go all the way back to Charlton Heston to catch the new movie in theaters. True. I mean, the Charlton Heston films were better, but that's beside the point. I have an opinion.
No.
That's not very well informed considering I've not watched any of the new Planet of the Apes films.
That is saying something.
I need to. I just have never gotten around to it.
Agreed. And to say, be like, oh, the older films are better when you haven't seen the new ones. It's like,
Well, okay, here, just quickly.
Okay.
The reason I haven't watched those is when the quote-unquote, what I now know to be the first movie of this thing came out, I thought it was related to the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes film.
Oh.
Because it didn't present itself as anything but a sequel to it in the commercials.
Agreed.
And I didn't want to watch that Tim Burton film.
Which I enjoyed that film so much.
Tim Burton's hit or miss with me.
Yeah, agreed.
He's not my first go-to. So since I hadn't seen that one and I'd heard that one kind of in the popular vote bombed a little.
It didn't do well.
Yeah, I thought, well, then why would I want to go see the second one? Especially since I didn't see the first one. I didn't know it was the first one. Mm-hmm. And now there's, 4 movies, and I've not seen a single one of them?
There's at least 5 now.
5. Meanwhile, I'm still trying to catch up on Fast and Furious.
Good luck.
I ain't catching up anytime soon because those films don't really pull me in either.
That is true. But like the longer you get into I know some people are just like die hard. Oh my gosh, I've got to watch every one of them. I watched, I think the 8th. I saw the 8th one in theaters. And was completely. This is the most boring movie in the planet. You see everything coming a mile away. And it's just like there's no wow factor to it. It's just like, okay, it's
Just-
more blowing up, more cars.
Just remember,
Vin Diesel trying to be a tough guy.
The first job that the Vin Diesel's family
Yeah, in Fast and
is
Furious.
taking care of, is trying to pull off, is to steal or to hijack a truck full of CRT television VCR hybrids.
Yes,
You want to talk about aging your film?
1999,
Oh my word!
2000s.
And from my understanding, the newer films are so different from that.
Oh,
they might as
are.
well be an entirely different franchise.
If we're going again, we're going on tangents.
We're on
here.
a tangent at the moment.
So you take the original first, I think 4 films, because they did a slight reboot after the third one because it didn't do as well. So they did a slight reboot, and it continues where 2 left off. And
Yeah, because 3 is technically at the end of everything.
technically,
Or it comes in at like 7.
it
If you're
comes in
watching
at
it
7.
chronologically or something like that.
It comes in around 7. Comes in around 7 or 6. One of those depends on where you go.
Somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
it's they blend it with everything else, and it's like, okay, so
All I know is
they go
if
from
you're
they
not
go from racing to just
spy thriller stuff from the look
spy
of
thriller
things.
junkie films.
All I know, the only thing I really know from that is if you're not out of control, you're not in control, which is the stupidest line.
Yeah, agreed.
And it was in every commercial for Tokyo Drift.
Tokyo Drift's a special.
It's
movie.
a special movie.
Special movie.
Anyway,
Yeah.
back to From Up on Bobby Hill.
Yeah. All right. So its home release, the Japanese Blu-ray was released on June 2nd, 2012. This marks the first time a Studio Ghibli was not distributed by Walt Disney Studio Motion Pictures in North America, except in Japan home video since the 1999 North American release of Princess Mononoke by then Disney-owned Miramax Films, a Blu-ray edition in North America.
Yeah. Never forget that the version that we're talking about of Princess Mononoke, that's the edited version.
That is the edited
That
version.
is not the version you see when you go watch the film now. It's an entirely different dub.
Yeah.
Because remember, Nausicaa had that, they sent that katana to the guy doing the adaptation. That had engraved on it, no cuts.
Yeah, no cuts. Yeah, I remember. It's like, how dare you?
Because of what they did to Mononoke.
Yeah, Mononoke, they butchered it. But thankfully now we have a more
We have the good
faithful
version.
adaptation of that film. So again, we've already done Princess Mononoke. Go listen to it. Go listen. Good episode.
And go watch that film. It's an excellent film.
Exactly. Again, you can go watch it on Max if you have a subscription to it. Anyways, a Blu-ray edition in North America was released on September 3rd, 2013. On September 23rd of the same year, a Blu-ray edition was released in the United Kingdom by Studio Carnal. So that is all I have for info and stuff.
Let's get into the summary.
Yes.
Umi Matsuzaki is a 16-year-old high school student living on Poppy Hill, which, according to my where I pulled these notes, is also called Coquelcot Manor. I
Yes.
think it's French,
Bravo.
so probably more like Coquelcois. I don't know. I can't speak French.
No.
It is a boarding house overlooking the port of Yokohama in Japan. Her mother, Ryoko, is a medical professor studying in the United States. Umi runs the house and looks after her younger siblings and her grandmother. Each morning, Umi raises a set of signal flags. One day, a poem about the flags being raised is published in Conan Academy's newspaper. Shun Kazuma, the poem's author, witnessed the flags from the sea as he rides his father's tugboat to school. At first, Umi gets the wrong impression of Shun as he does a daredevil stunt on behalf of the Latin Quarter, an old building housing their high school's clubs that's being threatened with demolition. Upon her sister's request, Umi accompanies her to obtain Shun's autograph at the Latin Quarter. She learns Shun and the school's student government president, Shiro Mizuzama, published the school newspaper. Umi convinces Shiro and Shun to renovate the Latin Quarter, and all the students contribute, both boys and girls. Umi and Shun start having feelings for each other. Back at Poppy Hill, Umi shows Shun a photograph of 3 young naval men. One of them is her deceased father, Yuichiro Sawamura, who was killed while serving on a supply ship during the Korean War. Shun is stunned to see he has a duplicate of the photograph. His father admits shortly after the end of World War II, Yuichiro arrived at their house one evening with an infant Shun. The Kazumas had recently lost their newborn, so they adopted Shun. At first, Shun tries to avoid Umi when he finally tells her they are siblings. Umi and Shun repress their romantic feelings, and they continue to see each other as friends. Yeah, that's how they see each other.
Yeah.
The renovation of the Latin Quarter is complete, but the Kanagawa Prefectural Board of Education decides to proceed with the building's demolition anyway. Shiro, Shun, and Umi take the train to Tokyo, which is preparing for the 1964 Summer Olympics, and meet with Tokumaru, the school board's chairman. They successfully convince him to come inspect the Latin Quarter. Umi later professes her love to Shun, and he reciprocates in spite of their situation. Having just returned from the United States, Ryoko tells Umi that Shun's father was actually Hiroshi Tachibana, the second man in the photo. In 1945, Tachibana was killed in an accident on a repatriation ship. Shun's mother died in childbirth, and his other relatives were killed in the bombing of Nagasaki. Ryoko was unable to raise Shun as she was already pregnant with Umi at the time. Yuichiro registered the child as his own to avoid leaving Shun as an orphan in the confusing post-war years, but Shun was eventually given to the Kazumas. Tokumaru visits the Latin Quarter and, impressed by the students' efforts, cancels the demolition. Umi and Shun are summoned to the harbor. They meet Yoshio Onodera, the third man in the photograph, and the sole survivor of the 3, now a ship's captain. Confirming Umi and Shun are not related by blood, he tells the full story of the 3 men's history. With everything resolved, Umi resumes her daily routine of raising the flags, but now it's not just for her father. The 3 siblings in the film, Riku, Umi, and Sora, their names mean land, sea, and sky in Japanese.
Yeah, and Umi means sky, right?
No,
I thought so.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sorry, I had to look at that again. Which, if you're thinking Riku and Sora are familiar names.
Yeah, no.
I will go ahead and mention Kingdom Hearts does the same thing with Riku, Sora, and Kairi.
Yes.
Because Kairi's name also means sky. Yeah, I'm a nut. Moving on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught it, but there's a French theme in this film. The clubhouse Quartier Latin refers to the Latin Quarter in Paris. On one of the desks, there's a French to Japanese dictionary. Umi's nickname in the Japanese version is Mare, both her real name and that one meaning sea in Japanese and French respectively, like mermaid.
Well, that makes sense.
Poppy Hill is supposed to be was originally named in the Coquelicot Hill, Coquelicot being French for poppy, and both Poppy and Mare were removed from the official English subtitles for the movie.
Really?
Except they also called it Poppy Hill.
Weird.
I don't get it.
Me either.
Anyway, the flags that Umi raises mean U and W in the international flag language. The 2 letters mean I wish you a pleasant voyage when raised together. At one point, Umi raises the flags that spell out Hokuto, which Shun translates for the audience.
Okay.
Shuri's flags on the tugboat say UW Mare,
Yeah.
which we see again in Sachiko's painting.
Ah, gotcha.
Which, that's actually one of the first, not really modern painting. It's got a little bit of impressionism but it's one of the first ones of those I like since I could actually make out what it was. Anyway, roughly a year before the film's release date, producer Toshi Suzuki nearly removed Goro Miyazaki from the film after being dissatisfied with the direction of the film.
Ooh.
During this time, Hayao Miyazaki offered to take over the movie if the younger Miyazaki was unable to revise it satisfactorily. Goro was given 3 days to come up with adjustments to the film. On the 3rd day, after receiving no new ideas, the elder Miyazaki sent him a painting of the protagonist making huge strides on a bridge. This helped inform him that the issue was the character's lack of personalities and how he should alter it. Goro then presented these changes and was allowed to complete the film. So, Jacob, what is your first like for this film?
So, like any Studio Ghibli film, the backgrounds if simple, I mean, like, you have no simple backgrounds in a Studio Ghibli film. It doesn't work that way. These
That's
are all
not how they do it.
No.
The only one that we had that was quote unquote simplified backgrounds was My Neighbors the Amadas, and that's just because of the art style they were doing.
Yeah, their art style was different. But like you could, like, we would talk about this in our earlier episodes where you literally just take a still frame, put it on canvas, put it in a frame,
and you could sell it for millions.
You could sell it very easily, or just put it on your wall and be like, be like, let me tell you about this film. Let me tell you about this, and just gorgeous. Oh my gosh, beautiful painting. I presume, or they're digital at this point. They would be digital.
I'm assuming. Okay, so I know that Ponyo. That one was done. That was done as close to cell animation as they could.
Agreed.
But I would assume that this one was fully digital.
Right. Yeah, I would assume, but again, they do arcing back to the original painting of backgrounds, which is like any studio worth their salt are going to try to emulate that, at least in some capacity. Even if they're doing 3D. Be like, you have one of the best example, like Lilo and Stitch, that was done in 2001, released in 2002. But like, yeah, the backgrounds were digital, but they were painted or digitally painted in a way to look like a watercolor, which is just beautiful and a great, amazing feat of, oh my gosh, make this film pop and make it stand out like above everybody else. And again, Lilo and Stitch is probably one of the best films ever, in my personal opinion.
I never would have guessed you liked that film.
No. Hint, nudge that over there. I know I'm pointing to the right direction. But, again, the younger Miyazaki choosing to do, again, these films are always done tremendously well with their execution when it comes to their backgrounds, their character designs, and everything. I especially love their backgrounds. And like I said before, you could put this on the wall and just vast in its creativity and its depth. Like, even like the single shots, like the fact of there's one dislike I don't like because it's more of a digital move, but I love these backgrounds. Love it. That's my first like. So what's yours?
While to a degree, I think you could have done this film in live action and done it the exact same way, and in terms of setting up everything. Agreed. I love the animation on this. There's nothing here that's like the most crazy thing they do is Shun jumping off the roof into the dirty cistern. Yeah, that's like the most action-packed thing the film does. Yeah. But the way they animated the whole thing, especially going through the Latin Quarter, as like when they're trying to get up there to change the light bulbs, and as they're trying to clean all that out. Oh yeah. Some of that was like, oh man, y'all must have had a 3D model of this thing just so you could get the angles correct. On how this place would look like on the inside, especially at the beginning when it is so dirty. I mean, there is so much in there that's just so well done, and from a technique point of view that it's hard to look at and go, how did y'all do this? Because it's just done so good. There's a lot of good technique on display. I don't know a better way to put it. It's one of the. It's okay. I will say this about Goro Miyazaki, even though he's not my favorite. He does his best work is done in the mundane, for lack of a better term. Okay. Yeah, you look at stuff like where Miyazaki's stuff is brilliant. Hayao Miyazaki's stuff is in flying scenes. His flight scenes are always gorgeous. Excellent.
Yeah, gorgeous.
And a lot of his what do you call that? The parallax scrolling.
Yes.
That's like that's what he's good at. You look at Isao Takahata, who does most of the other Ghibli stuff.
Yes.
And he has this really good like intensity that he can throw on stuff. You look at like so many other directors where they're good at this kind of this trickier stuff. What Goro Miyazaki's strength in is taking what looks like a mundane scene, like a boring scene that no one would put a lot of extra work into.
Yeah, agreed.
And he makes it interesting to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in here. It's like you describe it to somebody and it's like, oh, okay. Why should I be impressed by that? I'm like, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
He's able to take these mundane shots. There's nothing special. Look at the cover of this movie.
Yeah.
Up there. That's just her sitting on the back of his bike behind him, driving through downtown.
Yeah.
It is a know-nothing scene. It's pretty. Don't get me wrong. It's the kind of scene where anyone else, it would look good. It would be good from a storyline point of view.
Yeah.
But most people would not do this in a way that looks memorable. I've remembered the shot since I first saw this Blu-ray years ago. And when I finally saw how it was worked into the film, it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Goro is very good at taking those, what I would call a boring, mundane scene, and actually make it worth watching.
Agreed.
And I think that's why, for me, you look at something like Tales from Earthsea that has so much magical stuff and effects and action-heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not as good because that's just not where Goro Miyazaki's strengths lie. He's not really good at setting that up, but all his other stuff of being around like a table or something, or like I said, this drive through town, it makes it interesting to watch, despite the fact like there's nothing crazy going on. But at the same time, it's like it just lets you sit there and enjoy what's going on for a bit without feeling like you've got to be, running 90 miles an hour into like action or something like that. So yeah, that's my nut versus like, it's actually the mundaneness, the well-animated mundaneness. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
What's your second?
My second would go into the character developmental relationship between our two main characters. Because you have this, obviously they're teenagers, because I, personally watching this film, I thought Yor was probably like a young teenager. I had no idea she was, a full 16-year-old. No idea. Just how they play it out. It's just like, okay. So, yeah.
Who's Yor?
Not Yor. Sorry. Our main female lead.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Umi.
Umi. Yeah. Be like, why did I not remember a name like Umi?
Your mind is on Spy Family.
Apparently. So, Umi. Umi, is like this. Am I saying it right? Umi. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Umi is a very, down to earth, very responsible young lady. And then you have, what's his name again?
Shun,
kind of a daredevil. Is respectable, but at the same time he likes to do his own thing and that kind of stuff. And you have these two characters connect. It's like, oh, okay, we have interests with each other. It's okay. You have this budding romance, and then this whole intertwine of they may be related, they may not be related, and this unconfessed love for each other. And you're still lingering in the back of your head. Are they actually related? And you get this vibe, which you have is very. They played to that way too much. I'm sorry, but way too much in some other Japanese anime, which is really. But this they do it very, very well. You have this. The what's his name again? Sorry, Shun. Yeah, Shun. Tells her is hey, we have the same father. Hey, let's not hang out with each other because this is
it wouldn't be right.
It wouldn't be right. And And so obviously they're still kind of struggling with that. They're trying to live their normal life, but they know they have feelings for each other, and there's this overwhelming be like, are we related or not? And they're not going into the fetish of things, which I really enjoy, because like they bring it up, but it's not, oh, okay. So they're gonna play it like, you know, this direction, which I was like, okay, nice going. It's not, oh my gosh, I'm in love with my sister. Oh well, kind of thing you hear in a lot of more modern anime. And I appreciated them going the depth they went with, oh, okay, so they're not biologically related. Be like, yes, her father did adopt him after his father died and his mother died and the rest of his family died. Yeah. Which, again, taking historical accounts and making this very incredible, very emotionally packed scene where you get this big revelation that shouldn't, like, oh, be like, her father adopted him, but they couldn't take care of him properly, so they gave their friends adopted Shun.
Yeah. And they apparently never met until that point.
Yeah, apparently never met.
I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking they were good family friends.
Right.
Then after a certain point, they just didn't meet. I'm assuming after the father, after Yumi's father died, probably. Yeah. So they just never had a reason to reconnect, I guess.
That is true. Just didn't even think about it. Or you could be like, telling them they did meet when Shun was a baby and she was in vitro.
If you want to call that meet, sure.
Yeah, they met.
They did not meet each other. They were in the same room.
They were in the same room.
But,
when they were,
but at the same time, they never saw each other until
they were in their teens.
They were in their teens. I'm assuming they must have had classes together and it just never connected. Yeah, because that happens.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's like you like the person you want to be like best friends with or something like that. Be like, oh yeah, we classes all the time. We never had a connection with each other. It's like me and Drew. Be like, we met in our singles class. Yeah. And be like, we
didn't really get to start getting to know each other until, really the lead up to this podcast.
Yeah, really lead up to it. It was more, it's like just been like, oh, okay. And obviously people who listen to our podcast have heard the origin, the epic origin story of how our podcast came to be.
Yeah.
But if you want to listen to that, we'll probably go back with a different story about that. Or
we'll make up something new.
We'll talk about something more epic, and it's like, oh yeah, Battle of the Death or whatever. Anyways, that's another stupid tangent. But
that's like the definition of the show.
Yes, agreed.
Another stupid tangent.
But yeah,
I'm tempted to make that the subtitle of this episode, except it has nothing to do with the movie.
Agreed. But the dynamics of their relationship is very interesting in this unwinding of a mystery. Mm-hmm. Be like, where is this enigma gonna go? Be like, are they related? Are they not related? Well, technically, by not legal definition, but the fact to be like, her dad adopted him, and then he was adopted by another family. So by a legal document, his father is her father, but not biologically.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes it very.
There's a long string of legal mumbo jumbo I don't want to sift through.
Yeah. Oh, agreed. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this journey these two characters go on to be like, should it be a relationship, should it not? And they do it very classy, and to the point where they are 100% sure, in air quotes, that they're not biologically related.
Yeah.
So,
even though apparently Shun looks like her father.
Yeah, apparently. I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Which made me go,
hold on.
Are you sure?
Are you sure? Are you sure her dad didn't just go do something later?
I think it's time for a paternity test.
Yeah, I would say that.
Just for verification.
Yes. That'll come up with my dislikes, but later. But yeah, the dynamics of this relationship how it's spelled out in the film and how they conclude everything. I'm like, okay, bravo. You did a really amazing job telling a story and not going into the factor.
Yeah.
Like you have in so many new anime or anime movies or what have you.
Well,
it's like
welcome to modern media.
That is true. That is, oh my gosh. It's like, no. Be like, it's like, oh yeah, I started liking this girl and she turns out to be my sister or my cousin. Oh well, let's go do some, very terrible things and just like, it's not gonna hurt anything.
This is reminding me of a Weird Al song.
Oh my gosh, do I really want to know?
We'll talk about it after the show.
Okay. All right, we'll talk.
It's like a second verse of a song.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. But it's like the interesting dynamic of their relationship I really enjoyed, and how they unwind this mystery. Are they related? Are they not related? And it's just like, okay, bravo. I thoroughly enjoyed the writing and the interweaving of everything to make this story great. What's your second like?
My second like for this is the characters.
Ah.
A part of me wants to say, oh, it's the people who live at the Poppy Hill house. And a part of me goes, oh, it's all the students helping to clean up the Latin Quarter.
Yeah.
In reality, it's all of them because, yeah, not every one of these characters is like a major character.
No.
But like I said, I had a hard time figuring out which cast members to leave off of the cast list. And it's because every single one of these characters, no matter how major or minor they are, feels like a fully fleshed out, developed character.
Agreed.
They are very well done. I understand all the logic behind every single one of these characters. Now, part of that may be because this is based on a manga.
Yeah.
And the manga may have had time to, flesh a lot of these other characters out that a hour and a half to 2 hour movie did not have time to.
Sure.
But they could at least play off of those characterizations. And I appreciate how that all of the characters in this do feel like three-dimensional, fleshed out, thought out people.
Okay.
So that you just, half the characters don't even say their name half the time, but you know who they are.
Yes.
It's like, oh, this is this person's friend. Oh, this is the guy that was helping out in this scene. Character only has to be on screen for a second. It's like, oh yeah, I know who that is. That's this person.
Yeah.
I appreciate that all of these minor characters are not just archetypes or people that are just to say a line and move it on. It feels like, no, all of these characters have lives.
Yeah.
Which is what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, your tertiary characters don't get a lot of development. Every character in this has development, even if they're only on there for like one line.
Yeah.
And that's all, and the rest of the time they're in the background. If you get to sing in the choir there at the Latin Quarter, you have a fully fleshed out backstory. Whether the audience finds out about it or not, who knows? But I appreciate the fact that it helped make this feel like an actual real world I'm watching.
Yeah.
Not
Agreed.
just a bunch of stuff thrown at the screen to fill out the screen.
Yeah.
It's not like just a bunch of background characters. Just it's like, oh, you've got to have 200 or 300 people helping to clean this house. Well, here's 200 to 300 generic people. Mm-hmm. No, all these characters are, even if they're not like fully fleshed out, they feel like there's been at least some thought put into each one of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like the fact that we have three-dimensional characters.
Yeah.
Metaphorically, not art style wise.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
What's your third like?
My third like, kind of bouncing off yours, is yours, not yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yours. Yeah, I'm not talking about an assassin here. I'm talking yours.
We'll get to her in a minute.
Yes, in a few minutes. My third like would actually be the Latin Quarter. Mm-hmm. Be like the what would you call it?
It is
social club.
It's
Social club.
Well, what it is in Japanese high schools, from my understanding,
Okay.
obviously having never attended a Japanese high school,
Okay.
but having played and watched a lot of games and movies that take place in Japanese high schools,
Yes.
they usually have an older building that's like maybe the older school that they use to handle all the club activities. That also has to be kept clean like the rest of it, because in Japan the students actually are the ones who clean the schools.
Yes.
From what I can tell from this building was not built for the purposes of a school. It was built for a different reason, and then it got sort of drafted into this role of being the school's clubhouse.
Yes.
For the building that held all the clubs. So. But yeah, I think they also call it like a social club or something like that.
Yeah, it's like social clubs or whatever.
It's meant to be where all the students go to do their extracurricular activities.
Yeah, I like
that are school sponsored.
Yeah, you walk into the Latin Quarter and you see this very dilapidated house that is overwhelmed with clutter and debris and noise and sound of like all these different social organizations, and they're trying to be like, oh, we have to do this and this and this and this, and it's be like it brings life, it brings atmosphere to a story, because most of the time you walk into a building, it's nothing. It's like, oh, okay, we're in C quarters or whatever, and there's nothing to it. You walk in this room and be like, there is debris, there are old signs. It gives life, it gives a definition to everything in the room.
You can tell the building has history.
Exactly. They give a past and a breath to something in this movie. Like almost every other Ghibli film, there is something that grabs your attention. Like we walked into the room with our two female characters, and instantly it's like your eyes drawn to like this and this. The like what I thought was a like a captain's wheel or something like that.
Yeah.
Just sitting in a corner, and I was like, oh my gosh, be like, that's drawing my attention. This is good. And then you get into the depth of the Latin Quarter, of like all the different clubs and what they're doing, the science club and the debate clubs and the what is the club we're primarily focusing on?
It's like three different clubs. I think they kept calling it the Archaeology Club.
Archaeology Club. That's
But
right.
I mean, they're also the ones who make the newspaper. And
That is true.
They make something else. They act like this club has changed what it was 3 times before our hero, before Umi gets up there.
Yeah.
And gets kind of dragged in.
Yeah, like I agree. It'd be like again, this has like breadth, depth, and depth and gravity and nuance to everything in this building, including where they have to go in and renovate it, because Umi's like, it's like, hey, you might want to clean this up. Be like, make it more presentable.
If you want people to fall in love with it the same way you do, you've got to at least show them that it's not just a dilapidated piece of junk.
Exactly. And that leads into like most of the students going in and doing this, be like, oh, we are going to bring life to this already living and breathing place, and give it more life, and kind of bring it into give it scope and depth to other people. And it's like, look at what we've done, and the everything they do in order to preserve their place. I thought it was really well done. Again, excellent storytelling, art direction, everything in this film. It's just beautiful. Mwah. What's your third?
Third like.
Third.
My third like for this, like I said, before I put the Blu-ray in the player, I had no idea what this film was. I had this I'd seen the picture on the cover. I didn't know who the characters were. For all I knew, this was like, just going off of their the Shun's uniform and the image, I almost thought maybe like, okay, he worked for an organization, and she's riding on the. I thought maybe this was a war story when I first saw the cover of this.
Oh yeah,
and we get going. It's like, okay, they're in high school, and that's his school uniform. Okay, that makes sense. She's wearing the sailor style school uniform. That makes sense.
Yeah.
and I'm not knowing, and I figured it was a romance. I figured it was a romance from just the cover because it looks like a romance from the cover, but I did not know it was going to be this kind of, I don't know, rags to riches story in a way, where they clean up the Latin Quarter.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing this building and going, this is garbage. Y'all are gonna. They probably should bulldoze this building the way y'all have left it. But then actually getting the way the movie just pulls you into wanting to see, let's get this place cleaned up. Let's get it looking nice. Let's watch this kids balance on a ladder that's not being held in a very safe way, so he can get up there and change the main light bulbs of this thing. It's like, y'all need a cherry picker.
A little.
Or something else to get up there. There's got to be an easier way to change those light bulbs. But
agreed, but at the same time, it gives more like dynamic to what they're doing.
Right. I appreciated what we were seeing, but it's like you get into it, it's like I felt kind of the place, as you mentioned, the Latin Quarter was a very interesting place to walk into, but when we first went into it, I kind of felt, oh, y'all, this is kind of nasty. I hope we don't have to stay here long. And it was kind of uncomfortable for how long those first scenes took place, especially when they're going there and meeting all the people, like the philosophy guy and the chemists who knows what they were making in there that caused such a nasty explosion. You had this strangers in a strange land kind of a feel.
Agreed.
And yet the longer we were there, the longer it's like, let's get this place cleaned up. Let's get it looking nice. You want to keep this place? We got to actually make it look like it's worth keeping. And so, when we get to that point and the guy runs up and says, it doesn't matter how much we did, they're still going to bulldoze the place. I'm like, oh, come on. Is no one paying attention? Look how nice this looks. Y'all don't need to bulldoze this building. It's like, well, we could go to Tokyo and go talk to the chairman. It's like, okay, first off, you're students. But that's an American thought process that you can't take a train to Tokyo. Go ahead and take your train to Tokyo. Yeah, I can live with this. Go talk to him. And then they stay in those offices all day long. And I especially love that one scene where you see the one guy get called into the chairman's office, and he's just so happy. It's like, I am going to make a difference today. I have this project that's going to win everything. And you see him walk in, and 5 seconds later, you just see him kind of downcast.
Yes.
Going, I lost. I'm not winning. Blah blah blah. And I was like,
all my work down the drain.
It was done so good because you didn't focus on it. It was this way of just showing the time difference because the camera is focused on the three students in that scene, and it's like, oh, that was done so well. But it's the little details like that. The world felt alive. And so, maybe, I guess what I'm trying to say is, despite not knowing what this film was going into it, not having any clue really what it was at all, except for a romance. Yeah. This film did a very good job of getting me to invest in it. To a point where I was actually, like I said, I was invested. My emotions were being tugged along with everything. The fact that the movie ended at one point, I was like, oh, that ended quickly? We sure we don't want to do another scene? Okay. Yeah. I kind of wanted more. And, that's the thing. A good show should leave you wanting more. It's not that I wasn't satisfied with the story. I just expected, one more scene to close things out. But yeah, the movie got me invested. And I appreciate that. And because a lot of the other Ghibli and Miyazaki films, as good as they are, I kind of knew what they were going into it. It didn't have to do a lot of work to get me invested. There were some I wasn't too hip on that I kind of grew into, but this one, I had no clue. I had nothing to go on going into this, and within 15 minutes, I was invested enough. It's like, okay, let's do this. Let's save the French. I keep wanting to say the French Quarter. Let's save the Latin Quarter. Let's do it. Yeah, so my third like for this film is just how well the film got me invested in its story. and in the lives of Shun and Umi.
Yes.
To the point where I was disappointed when they found out they were quote-unquote related.
Right. Agreed. Because you're invested.
Yeah.
And I love how this film, it draws you in. Be like, it's not, we're a big action movie. We're not fantasy. We're real life. Or we're this.
It's not very plot heavy.
No,
There's
it's
plot.
not. There's plot.
But this is really more of, these are characters going through a part of their lives.
Yeah.
And that's what we're following.
Yeah. So, okay. So going into our dislikes.
Yes. What is your first dislike?
My first dislike is, again, this movie paints its story and tells the story very, very well. But there are parts that give you some doubt and puts some mistrust of what's going on. And again, I enjoy it, but there again, be like, by the end of the movie, they explain everything that's going on. Be like, okay, they're not biologically related, but are they? Be like, in all official accounts, yes, they are. They are not biologically related. But you do have points where Yumi, am I saying that right? Yumi?
Yeah. Umi, whatever.
Yeah. Yumi is talking to her mother. And there's the point where, well, does he look like his father? Referring to her now deceased husband. And she says yes. Now,
Yeah, that's a thing.
That's a thing. And so then you have the scene where the mother is having the conversation with, what's his name again?
With Shun?
Yeah, Shun. Shun's adopted father. Now, mind you, we don't hear any of this conversation. But I was very fascinated because by the end of the movie, they realize, oh, they're not biologically related. But are they? Are they biologically related?
We know the story that's been told, but we still have the issue of he looks like her father.
Yeah.
Despite the fact he shouldn't.
Yeah. Agree. Because at that point when...
I mean,
the point where
doppelgangers exist, but...
Agreed. Because, again, you have Uni, when she says that to her mother, she breaks down. Because she knows, like, that idea that it's like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with a guy who most likely is my brother. And, again, like, we're told by the captain, the third guy in this trio, that he's the only one that survived, that, like, oh yeah, this and this and this and this.
And
okay.
It does make logical sense.
It does.
The problem, I think what you're saying is the problem is not that, according to the story, they're not biologically brother and sister. Which, let's be honest, right now, as far as the story gets concerned, they're not biologically related.
Yeah, canon, they're not.
The problem is that one line where when Mama asks Umi, does he look like your father? And she says yes.
And she cries.
And I'm sorry, I have to put too much logic into it and go, well, let's see, yes. Doppelgangers are a thing.
Yes.
There are only so many genetics, so it makes sense that after a while some facial features would come up in a pattern.
Exactly.
So it's not unheard of for random people, even living in the same area, to look alike.
Yeah.
Who are not related in the slightest.
Yeah.
However, the chances.
Yeah,
the absolute chances
that is true.
That a man who adopted a child actually looking like that child
exactly
is very rare.
Yeah.
Especially since they were out at sea when it happened.
That is true.
So...
And also, the theory that came to my mind was the fact that Shun, like his father, he died in combat. His
birth father?
Yeah, his birth
father died on a repatriation ship.
Yeah, his father...
An incident that occurred on that repatriation ship.
Yes.
Which I looked out what they were talking about because I did not know precisely what they were talking about with that.
That's a very interesting history right there.
Yeah, I looked that up for those who were curious. The way World War II happened in Japan is they actually shipped off a lot of Japanese nationals, Japanese imperial citizens, to many of the places where Japan was conquering, including Korea and parts of China, and that whole thing. And a part of the cleanup and the downfall of that Japanese empire after World War II was that many of those nationals were repatriated, aka returned to Japan, since that's legally where they were going. They were what do you call that when you get kicked out of a country you're not supposed to be in?
I want to say exported. That's not the right word.
No, exported I think is the word.
Yeah.
But it's close enough. They got kicked out of wherever he got kicked out of whatever country he came from, and then whatever ship that was on. Because I think they said he was captaining the ship.
Yeah,
he was not actually one of the people being repatriated.
Yeah,
he was just the one captaining the ship. An incident they hit that Korean mine because it was from the Korean War, I think.
Yeah, it was Korea, and
the ship sank with him on board. And it just so happens that Umi's dad. Knew where the child was, because I think the mother, like the father, did not know either he did not have a child or he couldn't be there for the birth. She died in childbirth. There was no one to take care of the child.
They all
that's
died
why
in these,
so that's why he got a hold of the child, and then he went and took care of all that stuff. All that was at the end of World War II.
Yes, and
then her father died in Korea, so during the Korean War.
All right. So my thought, thank you for explaining all of that. That was really nice.
Because I had to look it up because I didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah, agreed. Like, I understood it to the most part. It's okay, historically, okay, that's what happened. My thought was, ever since you had that one line where it's like, oh, does he look like your father? Yes.
That's the line of doubt that we don't know if. We really don't know if Umi's dad got a little handsy somewhere else. Exactly. And whoever the birth mother was either died as it happens, died in childbirth, or just said, I don't want this child, he's yours, do with him as you please.
Yeah, because we don't know.
Or maybe he kidnapped the kid, for all we know. Yeah. And it is his birth son.
Yeah, we don't know.
But he could not tell his wife that.
Yeah.
So
there we exactly. It's a theory, not to say it is true.
I don't think within the context of the story that's what happened.
Right. But
they don't tell you that that's not what happened.
That is true. Because Billy's can because back each other up, be like, oh my gosh, I did this thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell my wife this is what happened.
What they should never have had her answer, her mother.
Oh yeah, agreed.
If she had not answered that question, that leaves enough doubt that it's like, okay, he kind of does, maybe he kind of doesn't, because she says he does look like him. Well, you can rationalize a lot of things, but it's still an issue enough that she did think they were brother and sister. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt everything you were saying.
It was good. Be like, it's the exact same thing. It's more, it puts doubt in your mind. And there again, you have the conversation between Yuri's mom and Shun's adopted father. Huh? Umi. Sorry.
Yuri is yours brother?
Yes, I'm aware. I just keep saying the wrong word.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Umi's
This is the problem when you have two Japanese things in the same show.
Exactly. And I'm not exactly best at English myself.
Right.
But Umi's mother, and then Shun's father have the conversation. We have no idea what's going on. All except we get her expressions, and that puts doubt in my mind. There's the validity of the story.
There's just enough in the background that maybe a little white lie was spun.
Yeah, a little bit
in that moment, so that the two lovebirds could live their life without having to worry about whether or not their relationship is incestuous.
Yes, until they
have a child,
decide to get married and be like, oh, blood test. By the way, you're married. What? No,
your brother. By the way, if y'all have a child, it will be. You'll have so many incestuous markers, or whatever that terminology is.
Right.
by the way.
Yes.
So yeah, my.
Oh, so here.
Sorry, go ahead.
I want to make this one point. So when me and my at that point fiance Ashley were be like, okay, we're gonna go get our certificate of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
We go down to the courthouse, and one of the questions they always have to ask you is to be like, are you guys biologically related? And it's like, no, we are not biologically related. And I kept thinking, it was like, are we related? Be like, do we have any ancestry that are connected? Well, obviously, Adam and Eve, obviously, there's a connection there.
Noah.
Yeah, Noah, obviously. But I was like, yeah, we're not related. But the fact to be like, where we live, that could be a possibility for some people. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that just kind of brought to mind ever since I got married 4 months ago now. And I was like, huh, I get that. I totally get that. Because then you start, it's like, wait a minute, no, because her family's from here. It's like, oh, her family's actually from here. It's like, wait a minute. Again, all joking aside. Anyways, me going on stupid tangents again.
My first dislike for this film, kind of bouncing off of yours. First
yours
off,
or yours? Yours.
Jacob's. Okay. Bouncing off Jacob's. How's that?
Got it.
Bouncing off of that one. Like you said, they laid a plot thread that I think they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
You want to go with that whole idea. It's like, oh, they were related because of this thing. That's fine. I'm actually fine with that idea. It's like, oh, there's a chance they were related, because that allows you to do this back and forth thing. But the whole, like you said, with the whole bit where they left enough dangling thread, that's like, maybe there is still truth to this little story. I'm going, can we not? Can we just make that perfectly plain?
Yeah.
That they aren't biologically brother and sister? Because here's the thing. The culture we are in, and even though it sometimes feels like it's spiraling down the drain, that is still considered wrong.
Yes, very.
And there's science behind why it's wrong, because you have the genetic issues that arise when two biologically related people have kids.
Yeah. Look at the ancient Egyptian royal red line.
Well, most of the European royalty, too.
Exactly. They're all related.
They're all related. And they will only marry each other because you have to keep the bloodline pure.
Not so much nowadays.
But those are issues.
Yeah.
Those are issues.
Yeah, agreed.
And so the minute they even floated the ideas like they're related, I went, oh, that's an interesting little tidbit. I kind of want them. I kind of want to stay at that surface level. It's like there's a chance they're related. They're doing the right thing, or Shun's doing the right thing by letting her know, and officially them breaking everything off, even though they do still have to deal with those feelings that are not, how Luke and Leia ended it with being, of course I love him. He's my brother.
Gross.
It's like, still, you kissed him.
Yeah.
On the lips.
And if you go
she kissed you on the lips on Hoth. So it's like, there is still that.
Yeah.
But
Lucas.
He didn't know.
I know.
Jedi.
I'm aware.
But
they even shot a scene where they kiss again in the movie, because there again, he didn't know. He was still working things out. He didn't have a master plan. People, just saying.
George Lucas never had a master plan.
No.
But anyway,
it's still a great film.
Back to my point.
Yes.
I am actually fine with those surface level parts of it, where it's like, oh, they realize that they're related. But they do still have romantic feelings for each other, and they have to deal with that. That's an interesting bit of a story.
Agreed.
But then
how do you deal with it?
You keep laying down the rest of these bits where it's like, she, like we said, her mother asking her if he looks like her father, and she says yes. It's like, okay, that's a worry. And then you get the whole thing where Shun asks his father, his, you know, the one who actually raised him, on the boat. Hey, the man in this photo is my real father, isn't he? And he goes, and I did like this part. I didn't mention it, but I did like this, where he says, "Son, I am your father."
Yeah, I enjoyed that conversation.
And then a couple minutes later says, "I am your father. However, you should know that all this stuff." And that was a good backstory to set that up, and makes it make sense why, how they got him in the first place, and how they're related to Yumi and all that other stuff. But then the whole bit where mom goes and talks to Shun's father, and they don't tell you what they're talking about.
Exactly.
You don't get word one of what they're talking about, and it really does. It could have just, it could be innocent.
It could.
That's just, hey, this has come up. I haven't seen you in a while. We are good. We are still good friends to a degree. I want to talk to you about it. Blah 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 blah. And it could be that. The fact of the matter is, from that scene until Shun gets the phone call from his father, we get nothing of that.
Yeah, it's all left ambiguous and
granted, at the time, we're focusing on fixing up the Latin Quarter, getting the chairman down there and all that. But we get nothing of those, of what that conversation was, and it leaves enough doubt. Enough doubt.
It does.
Where it's like, Shun's dad, I don't remember his name, but he could have called in a friend that he knew, one of these ship captains, that it may even have been the actual third guy in the picture.
Could.
I wouldn't be surprised if it actually is. But he says, hey, here's the deal. Do you remember, you know,
so and so?
You remember these kids? They fall in love with each other. They are brother and sister, at least in some degree. Will you help us relieve them of this tension so that they can actually do this,
right?
And, you know, be in a relationship? And the guy says, sure, I'll help. That could have been what happened, because the only other thing we get is him the father getting to shore, calling the school so to get on Shun to say, hey, you need to go over here and you got to get here quickly. And Shun being smart enough to grab Umi, say, hey, we both got to go, despite the fact Umi doesn't actually need to go.
No.
Based on what the information given. Only Shun really had questions about his parentage.
But it
makes sense for the context
why
of
she would go.
For the story, it makes sense.
Yes.
Why he would bring her, it makes sense. But I mean, technically, it would have also made sense for him to leave her behind to go find out this information. Just would not have been as good an ending. And they do the whole run across town and get out to the ship and get up there, and the guy even says, hey, we're going to leave about 15 minutes late so he can tell them this story. And I'm watching that whole thing go, and as much as I'm taking the movie at face value, which is all any movie asks, you should be able to take what the movie tells you as truth for that film. I'm fully engaged with it. There's still a part of me sitting back and going, how do you know what that guy's telling is the truth? He's about to be gone for what, 6 months?
6 months. 6-7 months.
So while he is probably driving that tanker over to Los Angeles or wherever he's going. I think that was actually looked like a container ship.
Probably.
It's a cargo ship. Either way,
it's a cargo ship.
So he's going to be gone for a while. If they happen to have missed it, it's a win-win, because they won't see him for a couple months, and they'll get, and you know, life will happen there. They get down there. The guy tells the story. They get off, and the ship goes, and they have no way of confirming anything. To the point where after that, it still doesn't matter. If they're in love, they're in love, and that's just going to be how it is. But I'm still sitting there going, you have no idea how truthful of what that guy told you is. You are taking his word of a man you don't know, that your only reason you trust him is because your father says, hey, this is the third guy in the picture.
You need to go talk to him.
You need to go talk to him. Okay. Maybe that's all it is, and I'm reading too much into it.
Yeah.
That is a possibility, but the fact of the matter is they laid enough plot thread that I think any person watching this would have read that into it if they put any amount of thought into it whatsoever. So yeah, my first dislike is the fact that despite the fact it's not in the film's best interest for you to doubt what the ship captain at the end of the movie is telling them, they left enough reason for that doubt.
Yeah.
And that's my first dislike. What's your second?
My second dislike, okay, again, nitpick about this film. So you have, in the very beginning of the film, you have these beautiful backgrounds, be like gorgeous backgrounds. Gorgeous. And then they use these very, obviously it's using digital photography or digital camera movements to move throughout the frame.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It seems a little jerky throughout the very beginning of the film. It's like someone was filming this in real life, but was relatively new to video photography. And so they're kind of moving a little bit, wonky.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. Maybe it was, I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, bud, stay to the camera. Come on. Be like, have you worked the digital camera before? Can you go through a scene? This isn't old school stuff. Be like, just pan. Like, it's like a bad digital pan into a scene.
I grant you, because if it really does feel like they drew a much bigger image and then had a virtual camera pan across the scene, and it looks like they did not have any sort of smoothing action on there. It looks like the guy was hitting the arrow key over while they were recording.
Yeah.
It's like,
looks a little
smooth that out a little bit for me, would you?
Yeah, crunchy.
Make this actually look like a real camera movement.
Yeah, it looks crunchy. So yeah, that's a.
This should not look like pan and scan on a 4x3.
There was a part of me, like, I know Studio Ghibli would never do it because those are, much less polished studios would do that. You would they would pan through a scene and then you would see the edge of the painting or the edge of the digital painting in frame. But that wouldn't be Ghibli. Ghibli just, I don't know what was going on with that. Maybe they had a budget restraint.
Probably ran up against a deadline and couldn't fix it in time.
Probably.
That happens to everybody.
Nitpick.
And bear in mind, with all of these Studio Ghibli films, and this is true of like most anime films, there's probably, in reality, 20 different anime studios working on it. You go back and watch the credits, and you will see a lot of the big name companies in Japan, like Production IG, Studio Wit, Toei Animation. The whole, if it's a major name, they probably worked on some part of it.
Right.
And it could be that scene was a new company that hadn't gotten much work and just got this one thing, and by the time someone caught it, too late.
Yeah, couldn't do anything about it.
I don't know if that's what happened, but that's just my guess.
Yeah. Again, nitpick.
Yeah.
What's your first dislike?
Second dislike.
Second dislike. Never mind.
My second dislike for this, and we are definitely two nitpicks.
Definitely knitting it.
Why is this movie called From Up on Poppy Hill?
Because it's never mentioned what Poppy Hill is.
Well, that's the English name, and the Poppy Hill is supposed to refer to the house she lives in.
Yeah.
Where she raises those flags every morning. Mm-hmm. The problem is, at least for me, most of this movie does not take place anywhere near Poppy Hill.
Yeah.
Near this mansion this hill this manor that she lives in. That's this older house that all the other houses are built up around.
Yeah.
That her doctor grandfather built long ago as a hospital.
Yeah, which is understandable why they would call it that. But
right, and I get that, but it's like the movie doesn't take place there. There are scenes that do take place there, mind you, but most of the scenes take place in the Latin Quarter. I don't know what you call that in that film. From Up on Poppy Hill is a good name, and I'm just making a wild guess. I know this is based on a manga. The manga is named something a little bit different, but basically the same thing. And I'm willing to bet that the manga may take up more time up there. I will go that far. And it's just the movie, the way they had to do that, because you have to adapt what I'm assuming is a long 100-chapter manga down to 2 hours of film. they focus more on this one storyline that focuses them on being, at the Latin Quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still looking at it and going, why is this called Poppy Hill? There's no poppies. I'm assuming it's named after the manor. Maybe the manor is made out of wood from the poppy plant.
Right.
I think it's a tree. I don't know. And maybe that's why it's called that. I mean, we know, like, none of my information really told me why this area was called that. At the same time, it's like the movie doesn't even take place up there for the most part. If this was called Cleaning the Latin Quarter, that's almost a better name for it than From Up on Poppy Hill.
Right.
Now, if, like I said, the manga could be based on her diaries and her stories that she's writing this while she's out overlooking from on top of Poppy Hill.
Yeah.
That would make sense. But the lead-in narration gives that kind of feeling. But for the most part, the only reason we know that her house is on Poppy Hill is because in that opening narration, she said, it's how things look like from up here on Poppy Hill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
And
I still don't know why it's called this, but okay.
Okay, I'd be like, okay, so I kind of get it. I kind of understand why they call it, because a vast majority of the movie does take place and it really begins the middle of the movie and the end of the movie is on Poppy Hill.
And there are many elements that take place there. And like I said, this is a nitpick. It's just calling the film From Up on Poppy Hill when really more of the action takes place elsewhere.
Yeah.
Feels weird to me.
Well,
I don't know what else you'd call it.
would you call it the Latin Quarter?
I don't know. I don't know. I have to look up what the name of the manga is, even though it said it in the thing. I didn't write it down because why would I have? But yeah, I just don't quite understand myself why the film is called From Up on Poppy Hill, other than it seemed a clever enough name, and that's probably the name of the manga.
Maybe.
What's your third dislike?
I don't have one. Do you have a third? If you don't have one, you don't have.
I really don't.
Okay, then.
Have one. This is a good film.
Agreed.
You can go ahead and tell you, I'm rating this a 7.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Why isn't it higher? I mean, it's a good film. I enjoyed it. This is the kind of film I might share with some other people. But if you're talking about whether or not I personally enjoyed it and could rewatch it, I don't know if I'd rewatch it very quickly, especially by myself. It was a good film. I enjoyed it, but I mean, I have seen better films. That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm giving it a 7.5 because that's just kind of like right there. It's good.
Yeah.
Don't really have much more to push on it.
Fair. I'm going to give it an 8.5. I really enjoyed it. Again, animation, story-wise. Again, there's this more of this lore of mystery, this enigma. It's like, is all the information we are being given, is it actually true? Or are we just going into hyperbole? Are we going to the realm of theory? Are we going into conspiracy to of why this and this and this? But overall, I really enjoyed this film, and I'm not gonna say it's my favorite Ghibli film by a long shot, but I thoroughly enjoyed this film in every aspect. Like, again, there's nitpicks, there's this, oh my gosh, this looming mystery of what's going on, and we're given little shreds of doubt that kind of put the entire story in slight jeopardy for our happy ending. And be like, even by the end of the movie, it's more like, okay, are they in a relationship? Or are they just more like, hey, we're going to be really good friends? Because, again, that's left ambiguously.
Yeah.
So, again, we don't know. But I really enjoyed this film. I really do.
So I did go ahead and look up the name of the manga, and it was Kokolot Zakakara, which basically means from Poppy Hill.
Oh, okay.
So From Up on Poppy Hill is a decent adaptation of that name. So yeah, it took its name from the manga. So the manga probably did more on Poppy Hill, so it's fine. But I'm going to show you the picture of the cover, which I'm presuming is Umi on the manga version.
Okay.
You tell me who she looks like.
She looks like Sailor Moon.
Yes. And it's not the same person who drew this.
No. She looks like a little
Looks exactly
blonde-haired-
looks like blonde-haired Sailor
Sailor
Moon.
Moon.
Looks nothing like Umi does in the movie.
No.
I mean, in
Wow.
the movie, she at least has black hair, like most Japanese people do.
Right. Because she would sound like a sore thumb with that blonde hair.
Oh yes,
And looking like a Sailor Scout.
especially wearing Japanese sailor uniforms.
Exactly. Where's
That was standard at that time.
where's her little black cat then?
Is she fighting evil by moonlight and
No,
winning
it's
love
Gigi.
by daylight?
It's
Gigi!
Gigi.
That's
It's
the problem.
Gigi.
Gigi's in the wrong film. He's supposed to be over here.
Yes, exactly. That would be hilarious to throw Gigi in there. That would have been like hilarious.
Somebody needs to make this mashup.
It's like, it's Gigi.
Anyway.
Yeah. By the way, look out for new merch coming out for the soon.
I'm going to be working on it this weekend.
Yay!
That's it for this review. Next time, which is actually going to be in 2 weeks, if you're following the live show, we are going to be reviewing. I don't have it up.
Does he have the movies in order?
They are in order over there, but
of course. Of course they're
that's what you have to do. The Wind Rises.
The Wind Rises. Okay.
It's The Wind Rises, and we are planning on having a guest on there.
Ooh.
A certain Mr. Ruiz.
Oh.
Or should I say Ruiz?
Hi, Roy.
Will be joining us for that episode.
Name Roy.
Assuming everything goes as planned.
Yes.
So join us for that in 2 weeks. In the meantime, we've got to hit the finale of Spy Family, but we will do that on the other side of the intermission.
Yes.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out The Rushmore Show.
Right.
The Rushmore Show is the place for ranking the ultimate top 4 in sports, video games, nostalgia, movies, and so much more. Each week, Andy and Kirk spark engaging discussions and friendly debates, making The Rushmore Show your compass in the realm of pop culture rankings. You can find more on their YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more. The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, PaulJPowers.com, The Monster Island Film Vault, and Edwin Gonzalez, who just became a $10 a month member again. So, yeah. If you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, some special art from Jacob, uncut episodes, and for an additional $5 for a total of 10, forcing us to review movies within reason, you can donate to us on Patreon. If you would like to buy merch, like t-shirts.
Yes.
Which I just remembered. I need to go kill a t-shirt.
Yes.
I haven't done
So hurry up and buy that one really fast.
especially if you're live.
Yes.
Go do that right now. All 2 people who are watching this. Go do that now. But keep an eye out for new merch coming out very soon, the next couple days. Last time. Borf.
James Bond Jr. Impossible. Call me Big Man if you wanna reach me. When you wanna face me, it's okay.
The man of Flintstone. What an agent, what a squirrel. He's got the country in a whirl. What's his name? Shh, secret swirl.
Johnny Quest.
Anybody want a peanut?
Mission 36. Berlint in Love.
Oh, gosh.
And Nightfall's Daily Life. The first half of this adapts Chapter 59. The second half was original. Mm-hmm. This is part of the Wise arc. It was directed by Yosuke Yamamoto and written by Honoka Kato. In this episode, Becky is very excited about a romantic drama on television, so she heads over to the forger's place to see Lloyd, who she fell in love with instantly after seeing his picture, while Becky aggressively pursues Lloyd.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my word, this episode. Here's a fun fact.
Okay.
Mission 36 and Mission 37 are out of order.
Really?
Yeah. This one adapted 59. Mm-hmm. Mission 37 adapts Chapter 58.
Really?
Yeah. Weird. Why they did that, I don't know, other than they wanted to end on Bond saving a puppy's life.
Fair.
I mean, Bond is best dog. We'll definitely be talking about that in a minute.
That is true.
But, yeah. The start of Nightfall's Daily Life, the hospital director makes an appearance watching Fiona behind a corner. This character will make his debut much later in the manga than he does here.
Huh.
So they did bring in a new character a little early. What are your thoughts on a 5-year-old dating a 30-year-old?
Oh my god.
I'm watching this thing the whole time and going, you're 5! You cannot be Anya's mama! And yeah, Anya's going, I got to have my shifts!
Oh my
My
word.
shifts are losing!
I found this absolutely hysterically cute. Because
it
this
was cute, but at the same time, I'm going, the fact that her nanny or overseer had to tell her, young lady, you shouldn't commit adultery.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it was hysterical.
It's like, you're telling me this is more serious than I thought.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And it's like Becky, oh my gosh, bless her little heart. She is so smitten. She has the worst puppy dog love for Lloyd. It's not even funny.
And Lloyd does not even recognize it.
Of course, Lloyd doesn't recognize it. He's so focused on everything else. And even Yor is just like, oh, that's kind of cute. It's like, oh, someone has affection towards Lloyd, and it's like this entire thing where Becky is convinced that she is the one for Lloyd, even though she's 5 years old. Mm-hmm. Trust me, this stuff happens, people. Just saying, because little kids are kids.
They don't know any better.
They don't know any better. But you have these moments where Becky is trying her best because she has watched this sappy soap opera, and she's like, oh, what would these characters do in this situation from this soap opera in order to entice Lloyd to be her man? And again, 5 years old.
Which I'm following how it works, and everything is for the most part okay, except she does start breaking and saying things she knows she shouldn't say.
Oh yeah.
And Lloyd goes, wait, what did you call me? You're precious, Lloyd?
Yeah, what?
And then everything goes to pot for her.
Oh my god.
When she pretends to be drunk.
And then Yor's like
loses it. Oh no! I accidentally fed you alcohol. You could have alcohol poisoning. I must get you to the hospital. Picks her up and runs
out the door,
down the street, going who knows where. Causes a wreck.
Or correction, runs into a car. Now, granted, it'd be throughout the course of this series, we know that Becky brings it up that Yor is incredibly strong.
Yes,
and just literally bounces off this car.
Bounces off.
Gets a bloody nose from it.
Well, Becky is flying in the air because she got launched. And of course, as Yorg's getting ready to land, she lands in just the right way that she catches Becky.
Oh, yeah.
And then takes off again. And then finally Becky says, I'm not drunk!
Yeah, this heart-to-heart meeting between Becky and Yor, which is so incredibly fun. But at the same time, you realize Becky is trying to beat Yor at this quote unquote game, and she knows she can't.
And it all ends with where Becky says to Yor, if I can't beat you now, I will at least take me on as your protege so I can understand
your ways.
And we
How
get
can I be a woman like you?
We get a replay of episode 9.
Yes,
with Anya's training, except now it's Becky, and Lloyd even says, "This seems familiar."
Yes, agreed.
I don't understand children.
No, oh my gosh, but it was so freaking funny.
It's funny, but it's like this is a weird flipping episode.
Agreed, it is very weird. It feels very awkward watching, but at the same time, you get why be like this culmination of her obsession with, and she makes the excuse to be like, "Oh, I'm going to go over to the forger's house," and make some excuse. And the scene on the couch is absolutely hysterical because the adults have no idea what's going on. The kids are like, "Oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever," and it's just like this two worlds they're not understanding each other. And it's just the funniest thing in the world. It's like, she dropped her hair. Oh, they're doing this hair flushing thing or something like that. Like adults do.
When she's trying to whip out her trump card.
Yeah, her trump card.
And undo her hair and do the hair flip that's supposed to make men fall wildly in love.
Yeah.
And it does nothing for Lloyd because, A, it's a little girl.
Yeah.
B, he doesn't know what she's doing.
Exactly.
And she does it over and over again. It's like, well, it didn't work the first time. I'm going to try again. And they just keeps going. And then Anya's trying to do it with her because I don't know. Because it looks fun. Yeah. And you're saying, she kind of likes you. Maybe she's just trying to show it. It's like, well, technically, yes.
Yes, technically.
But not the way you're thinking, Yor.
No. And again, you have this kind of heart-to-heart moment when Yor kind of stops and be like, and they have this heart-to-heart be like, oh, I'm madly in love with, I just said his name. Lloyd. I'm terrible with names, people. I apologize. With Lloyd. And it's just more like Yor is more like, oh, I appreciate people who actually like and care for Lloyd. Mm-hmm. And it's more be like Becky tries to be like, oh yeah, she Lloyd likes strong women. Oh, I can do this. And then of course, Yor goes in there and just takes them out and smashes the thing into a billion pieces.
Yeah. Like
how strong she is. And here comes the princess part. And it's absolutely hysterical episode. I love it. It's so much fun. Mm-hmm. And then we get into the second act of this episode.
Yes. Where we follow another lover of Lloyd who's trying to steal him away from Yor.
Oh my gosh, Nightfall.
Oh, Nightfall. Taking on while still doing all her assignments. And then taking on all of Lloyd's while he's off on the cruise ship. Because this episode takes place while Lloyd's and Anya and Yor are during the cruise adventure arc. Mm-hmm. And the way this episode tends to go is she's giving this kind of speech, a soliloquy to herself. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing scenes of events of the cruise adventure arc and then her doing her training and doing similar things at the same time.
Yeah,
at one point, she is standing on top of an alligator.
The one
in triumph.
The one that got me is more like she's being like, oh, more, and the point where she's hauling with a sled with a bear on the back of it.
Yes.
Like, I have to be the strongest.
I must be stronger than Yor. I must be the forger wife. And I'm sitting here going, Nightfall, Fiona, I've got a really stupid question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How would this look to Eden Academy for the mother to change?
From a 25-year-old woman to a 5-year-old? Again, it's a child's mind. They don't think about this.
No. I'm talking about Fiona, not Becky.
Well, never mind.
Nightfall.
Got it. Okay.
Purple hair. How does that work?
Whatever.
They look entirely different.
Agreed.
There's no amount of dressing up Fiona can do to look like Yor.
Yeah.
You're mid-mission. You're stuck. Even if Yor ends up being a liability, which, let's face it, at some point she probably is going to be. Just the way this story probably is going to play out eventually.
Probably.
You're stuck with her. You can't really get rid of her because it's going to throw the mission into jeopardy.
Yes.
because the school required a mother and father.
Obsession has a thing for doing that.
So go back to your tennis match.
Ow. Mega burn.
Mrs. Phony.
All right.
Anyway.
Next and final episode.
Final episode. Part of Mission 37. Part of the Family. Adapts chapter 58. Is also part of the Wise Arc. Is directed by Yukiko Amai and written by Ayumu Hisao. And as is tradition on our TAS segments, on the final episode, I must name every voice actor on the show.
Go ahead.
Playing.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me. So, are we talking about the voice actors who previously did the role, or doing currently?
I'm naming every voice actor, both Japanese and English, just much like we did with Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Got it. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Lloyd Forager / Agent Twilight in the Japanese version was played by Tayuku Iguchi, and in the English version, Alex Organ. Your Forager, aka Thorn Princess, was played by Sayori Hayami in the Japanese version, and Natalie Van Sistine for the English version. Anya Forager, aka Agent Test Subject 007, was played by Atsumi Tanizaki in the Japanese version. Megan Shipman through seasons 1 and 2 of the English version, plus Bryn April for episodes 28 and 29 of the English version. Bond Forager was played by Bond Forager Test Subject of, I don't remember what his code was.
Yeah.
Anyway, played by Kenshiro Matsuda and Tyler Walker in the English version. Yuri Breyer was voiced by Kensho Ono, and as a child, Mirai Kumagi in the Japanese version, and in English by Dallas Reed and Sarah Weinhardt as the young version. Frankie Franklin was voiced by Hiroyuki Yoshino and in the Japanese version, and Anthony Bowling in the English. Damien Desmond was played by Natsumi Fujiwara and Caitlin Glass. I kind of think you can guess which is the Japanese and English. I'm not going to repeat that now. Becky Blackbell was played by Emiri Kato and Donnie Chambers. Fiona Frost, a.k.a. Agent Nightfall, was played by Ayane Sakura and Lindsay Slidell and Bryn April. Sylvia Sherwood, a.k.a. The Handler, was played by Yuko Keita and Stephanie Young. The Wise Intelligence Officer was played by Hiroki Goto and Grant Paulson. Wise Director was played by Akio Otsuka and Mike McFarland. The Shopkeeper was played by, and bear in mind, that's the Shopkeeper of Garden, was played by Junichi Suwabe and Mark Stoddard and Jim Ferronda, with Matthew McKayen, the other member of Garden that we deal with, the director, was played by Kinyu Horikuchi and Bill Jenkins. Henry Henderson, who is very much in love with elegance, was played by Kazushiro Yamaji and Barry Yandel. Emil Ellman was played by Hana Sato and Mary Ann Johnson. Owen Egberg was played by Haruka Okamura and Michelle Rojas. George Gluman was played by Shun Hori and Jad Saxton. Thomas Austin was played by Hiroki Goto, and unfortunately, we do not know who played him in the English version. The Eden Geometry Teacher was played by Shomaru Zoza, and we don't know who played him in the English version. Camilla was played by Umeka Shoji and Morgan Garrett. Millie Myers was played by Manaka Iwami and Caitlin Barr. Sharon was played by Mirai Kumagi and Leah Clark. Dominic was played by Shohei Kajikawa and Jordan Dash Cruz. Heyman was played by Tadaki Torishima, and we don't know who played him in the English version. V-Days was played by Shomaru Zoza, and we don't know who played him in the English version. The SSS lieutenant with the scar, that is Yuri's boss, was played by Yasuyuki Kase and Aaron Campbell, while the SSS director was played by Jiro Sato and Anthony Damascio and Bradley Gareth. The Martha Marriott, which is Becky's nanny, was played by Shoko Tsuda and Linda Leonard. From Spy Wars, Bondman was played by Taisuke Nakano and Aaron Campbell. Bondman's commander was played by Motoki Sakuma and Nazi Tarsha. The tailor shop owner was played by Emiko Takuchi and Lucia Lobosvilla. Keith Kepler, who is the worst human for putting bombs on dogs, was played by Hiroki Takahashi and Clifford Chapin. Olka Gretcher was played by Aya Endo and Mallory Rodak. Graham Gretcher was played by Marie Oy and Lisette Monique Diaz, where Zeb was played by Junta Terashima and Josh Bangle. Snoops, one of the assassins from the cruise arc, was played by Kazuyuki Okitsa and Nazish Tarsha, and the assassin's leader was played by Kosuke Terumi and Reagan Murdoch, whereas the narrator for our show was played by Kenshiro Matsuda and Ben Phillips. In this episode, as Bond is on a walk with Lloyd, he has a premonition of an accident, so he tries to stop it, but is scolded by Lloyd. He then sees a vision of a building going up in flames and a sobbing girl standing in front of it. In this episode, Bond proves himself as being best boy.
Yeah, agreed.
The bestest boy.
Agreed.
Like I said earlier, this episode takes place before the last episode. For reasons unknown, they switched them. Anya and Yor's outfits in this episode are based on their outfits from the manga's special illustration number 2. The anime exclusive content for this the anime adaptation of Chapter 58 includes a new subplot with scenes at the beginning of the episode and after the credits of Anya and Yor making origami at home while Lloyd and Bond go on a walk. This is different from the manga chapter, which started with Lloyd and Bond at the park with Frankie and ended with them heading home and did not feature Anya or Yor. The final sequence of this episode is a montage of what the various side characters are doing while the Forgers have dinner. During this sequence, Becky's dog Weasel, or Weisel maybe?
Probably Weisel.
Probably Weisel. I may have just fallen for the Frozen problem of calling him Weasel.
Yeah, probably.
But during the sequence, Weasel makes an appearance despite not having physically appeared yet in the manga. And from what I understand, that doesn't mean by this point in the manga. This means I don't think he's appeared in the manga yet. So just throwing that out there. And yeah, this is our final episode of Season 2 of Spy Family. And for the foreseeable future, until Season 3 comes out, we are finished with Spy Family, except come December.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about that later.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this episode?
This was a good episode. I really, really, really enjoyed it. Minus the fact this is the end of Season 2. Mm-hmm. We're not left with anything except for a slice of life little action bit of what's going on. There's no, oh my gosh, we get this nice cliffhanger, what happens, or what have you. So in a way, I was disappointed in that because we're not given something that, compels us to wait till next season, see what happens next. Well, or some kind of tease that leads into like a bigger mystery, or like maybe this happens. We don't get that.
I do agree with you because this could have teased two different things.
Yeah,
it could either have teased Season 3, or it could have teased Code White.
Yeah, agreed. And
despite the fact I think this came out before Code White came out before this did.
Okay,
I could be wrong on that.
But like with all that said, I really enjoyed it because there again, it's dealing with Bond, the dog, which, like Drew said, is best dog, best boy. I agree.
He is bestest boy.
He is a good dog, and like you don't get a whole. We've only got like what 1 or 2 episodes where it's, or maybe like 3 or 4 episodes that are focused primarily on Bond.
I mean, you get him early on with his introduction, so that's a good story arc with him. You get a couple other like little things where he's there, but for the most part, his next focus episode was when he goes out and helps Lloyd on that one mission.
Yeah.
Because he's afraid he's going to die.
Yes.
And
which is hysterical.
Yeah, and then he's like does a lot of side stuff, and then his jealous story.
Yes.
But around the time it really feels like they might be leading up into another Bond story is when the cruise adventure arc starts, and he has to be left out of it because he can't go on the cruise ship.
That is true.
So, yeah, this really does feel like we're making up for the fact that Bond did not have an episode this season by giving him this last one. Especially since they did go through the whole, in case you don't know what's happening, intro again.
Yeah.
With this episode, I just thought, that's really weird to do on your last episode of the season.
Like a small recap just to lead up to this episode.
And it's literally the same recap that was in the beginning of episode 1 of this season. It's the exact same sequence.
Yeah, so again, be like, you get Bond, he has a premonition, he wants to try to stop this thing, and Lloyd is like, I don't understand what's going on. But at the point, be like, at the middle mark of the episode, you have these two characters, they finally click with each other. It's, okay, that's what you're doing. You are trying to help somebody.
Yeah.
And you have the moment where you get the premonition vision where Bond sees the woman crying and saying, but the what we believe is a person's name.
I thought it was a baby.
Yeah, I thought it was a baby too.
I thought it was a legit baby.
I was like, oh no, this is terrible. And then it's be like, we
finally get to that point. It's like, oh, it's a fur baby.
It's a puppy.
Still important.
Yeah, still important.
But I'm like, oh, I thought Daisy was a human.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, I have to readjust my expectations now.
Yeah.
Bond is still a good boy, but
I mean, like, again, it kind of it draws away from what we initially thought was something. And it's okay, it's still important. It's not what we thought it was. Oh, it's a human. It's a human child. And it's like, no, it's a puppy. Which kind of makes sense. It
makes sense. It's just slightly disappointing.
It's slightly disappointing, but at the same time, be like,
at the same time, you couldn't have thrown a baby in that backpack.
No, you couldn't have.
Out of the
that's true. Be like, throw a puppy in the backpack, you're kind of fine.
Puppy's kind of pushing it, but
yeah, it's true. But be like, it's a great episode because you have this bonding moment with Bond and Lloyd, and it's really nice. And then you get the remind me what happens at the very end of this episode. I'm kind of going blank.
Before the credits, like there's a whole different third of the episode after the credits,
right?
Because this one, it just seems like they save the puppy, they catch the arsonist,
which is an amazing episode.
Right.
Yes, absolutely amazing.
Bond catches on fire.
Yes.
And they have to put him out, and we find out he's really super skinny. Yeah. In fact, my first thought when I saw Wet Bond was elegant. It was that guy, Henry Henderson, from earlier in the show, the teacher. Yeah. I go, and he looks a lot like him.
He does. I agree. That was on me. Like, the fact to be like,
so if you start saying Umi.
Not Umi, my apologies. No, but Lloyd is like, oh my gosh, I've never seen him wet. What is wrong with this dog? It's like, oh, I guess
how he is. He's a skinny dog with a lot of poof.
Yeah, a lot of poof. Like, good night. That's a lot of poof for a skinny pup.
He's a winter weather dog.
That is true.
He needs insulation.
That is true.
Though I did like what that one guy said. Will you take care of your bear?
That is true.
Like, yeah, Bond is kind of a bear of a dog.
Yeah, agreed. But it's like you get those moments. You get back at the house. You get kind of a nice, not wrap up. It's okay, whatever.
Well, we get a final story there where the three are, or the four, I should say, are meeting back up. Anya gets a quick little scare of, oh no, what happened to you, Bond? You're all skinny. And Yor has to say, oh yeah, this is just what happens when he gets wet.
Yeah, that's what.
And once he dries out, he'll poof back up. And you get this nice little thing, and they're all going to sit down to dinner, and then we get this nice little montage of what all the side characters are doing while they are eating dinner, which I did like how Fiona Frost had, during target practice, formed a perfect heart around Lloyd on her target.
Yeah.
And a couple of other fun things.
Yeah, I agree.
Yuri eating Yor's cooking.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And I didn't even have to see the note to know that was Yor's cooking.
No, it's just like, wow.
It's like, oh, purple. That must be Yor.
Yeah.
and all this other nice. And I kind of like how when it's doing that, it looks like the projector that this is being shown through, like it's a film projector, that the projector is starting to go out. It kind of gives it that old filmy quality to it.
Yes.
And it ends with them eating dinner.
Yes. I agree.
And that's how the season ends.
Season ends.
We know there's a season 3 on the way. It has been approved.
Yes.
We just don't have a date on it yet. But also, there was a movie, Spy Family Code White, which we are going to be reviewing on our first episode in December. Which for the live stream people is going to be December 6th.
Yes.
So definitely join us for that. But yeah, that's the end of Spy Family for now.
Yeah.
I know I kind of forced you into this because I kind of talked it up for a while.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm assuming you've enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, I have. But like, it's good to know. Be like, okay, there are different genres and there are different style of anime, and I never thought I would ever watch something like this. But watching it for the review for TAS is like, okay, I really enjoy this, and obviously I am excited for what is going to occur in season 3
whenever that happens. And me and Dallas pretty much teased Code White for you last week.
You did. It's like shush.
We'll not talk more about that for now, other than chocolate. Anyway. At least Bond gets to go on this vacation.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll give you that much.
The fluffy puppy comes along.
Well, it is kind of his environment. But,
hinting Code White.
That brings us to the end of this episode and of Spy Family, which means, ladies and gentlemen, our poll on Facebook as of right this second is closed. I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to share with you what our next episode
for TAS
is going to be covering. And though I'm fairly certain I know what it is.
Yeah. By a long shot.
Unless something changed here in the last 2 days.
Which
I haven't checked it in 2 days. Nothing changed. So, next episode, which is in 2 weeks, we will be starting Batman, the animated series.
Woohoo! Yeah!
After that, after another thing me and Jacob have talked about doing, we are going to be taking on DuckTales 2017.
Woo!
Then we'll be taking on Gravity Falls, and then Star Trek, the animated series after that.
If we don't get distracted by something else.
It happens. Gravity Falls is on this list. This is the second time Gravity Falls has been on the vote.
True.
And that's because we switched it out for Spy Family.
We did.
So, at the moment, that is the current order. Although we are doing something different between Batman and DuckTales, but you'll have to stay tuned for that information.
Yeah.
But,
unless you're a patron and heard it before. Heard us talk
we
about
did
it later.
kind of talk about it on the pre-show, even the pre-VOD show.
Yeah, pre-VOD.
So,
which are only our patrons heard.
Let's just say, more bald people. That's all I'm going to say.
More bald people.
You'll remember it when we watch it, if you don't know it already. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Next week, in 2 weeks, like I said, we'll be reviewing The Wind Rises, plus the Batman the Animated Series episodes on Leather Wings and Christmas with the Joker. So join us for those episodes. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast, on Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming, On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
Twuwav.
Wav, twuwav. Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today. Even if that marriage is between two people who are technically legally brother and sister.
Sure.
Only legally.
Only legally. And
I don't know, that may still be technically improper.
It's improper.
Ill done. Improper. Improper is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, this isn't Arkansas or some
No,
other.
we're in
southern-
Texas, not
Yeah,
Arkansas.
Yeah, some
it's
other
pronounced
southern-
Arkansas. Consider my pet peeve. I'm quoting stuff and y'all don't even know what I'm talking about.
Nope.